What's going on, guys? Chewy here, and we are officially here with Scott Stokely. This is the first episode of the Disctopian podcast, and I'm so excited to have Scott on. He was the first personality I found whenever I got into disc golf, and I actually got to meet him at the Alt Mart at Worlds. So that was a huge pleasure for me and just a really cool, surreal moment. So reached out to Scott, told him I was starting a podcast, and was like, man, if you'd join me, I'd love to have you. And he said he would. So here we are. And just wanted to kind of open up the floor to you, Scott, if you have anything you want to say to start.
Yeah, so your name's Atomic Chewbacca. Do you watch or like the old Star Wars or new Star Wars?
So both actually. I have an uncle who got me into Star Wars, and I have a full Star Wars sleeve here as well, and it kind of started as a joke, but it's my baby. But my Chewbacca actually came from my Appalachian Trail name, and then it just kind of sprung from there. So
Gotcha. When Chewbacca became a vegan, did you feel like he let you down?
I mean, time goes on, and Disney's doing whatever they got to do, but.
I'm just saying. I saw the original Star Wars in the theater when it came out. Like that was part of my childhood. I was 8 years old when Star Wars came out, so I was the perfect age.
That's awesome. That's
In
awesome.
fact, do you remember the original the story about the first Star Wars toys that came out? Yeah, unrelated to disc golf, but this is one of the most horrific stories of my youth, but not just my youth. Every child of my age, just about, we all shared in this. So the idea is that Star Wars came out, Lucas held the rights to merchandise. That was the big story. Like he held on to the merchandising rights because they didn't think it was worth anything. That's where he made most of his money. So he couldn't find any toy companies that would produce all the Star Wars toys that every kid in the world had at that, in the late 70s. And he found a smaller company to make them, but they weren't going to get the toys out by Christmas. And if you missed the first Christmas, you're dead in the water. You're done. We needed that. So this is what they did. This happened to me. This happened to children all over the world. Your parents went to the toy store. They bought a box that said Han Solo doll, whatever doll, like whatever toy character. Then you take the box and you wrap it up. You put it under the tree. On Christmas morning, all we want are Star Wars toys because we're 8 years old. And we open up the box and there's our Han Solo doll. And then you open up the box and there's a slip of paper that says, fill out your name and address and mail it to us, and we'll mail you your Han Solo toy in 6 to 8 weeks.
Holy cow. So they just pre-sold that, like, placeholders. That's crazy.
It's because they wanted to make the sales and the kids needed it, so yes, that happened.
Wow. Well,
now and then you have kids today asking why my generation is like so screwed up and awful. It's like, do you realize what we went through?
Oh yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. I just did a etiquette training at work, and it's like this day and age, it's the age of entitlement. Everybody wants everything right now, and it can get to you. But I mean that's cool to just hear that even they had to come out and do the placeholders, and that's crazy to even think about that. Like a kid would be so hyped and open the box and there's a form in it.
Fill out 6 to 8 weeks. So get your toy in March.
It'll be here for springtime, but
yeah.
Man.
Man, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Dude, absolutely. Well, I just kind of want to open up. Tell us about the beginning. How did it all start? Where I know you kind of talk about in California and a little bit. I'll just let you kind of go.
It started in 1978 because we went to go see Star Wars, and all we wanted were these toys. That's where it started. Oh, I'm still here. There. Wait. Oh my God. Wait. You're not my online therapist.
I mean, we can do some therapy. Oh
my God. I thought I have a therapy appointment next. I thought you were. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Disc golf. We'll talk about disc golf. So it started in 1976. My dad died, and my mom would take me out to all the local parks around my area, and they all had something different in them. Like I would, there was the park with the biggest merry-go-round and the tallest swing set, and whatever trees I like to climb. But like every park had its thing, and there's this one park called Oak Grove that had this thing called a Frisbee golf course. So if you were going to Oak Grove, you'd stop by a grocery store and pick up a Frisbee if you didn't have one for you and your friend, and that was that park's activity. What I didn't realize at the time was that was the only course in the entire world.
Wow.
So it was the world's first course, but there were no other courses in the world. So there's no way of knowing as a 7-year-old kid that this was significant in any way.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, the people that put it in wouldn't have known it was significant, probably. But yeah, that's where I started at the world's first course when it was the only course in the entire world.
Wow.
And but I didn't play very often for the first 4 years because I lived about 7 miles away. And when you're 7 years old, that's might as well be Asia, right? I mean, it's the other side of the world. But, my mom would take us there every month or two, whatever. That would be something we would do once in a while. But when I was 11, I moved about 300 yards from the course.
Okay.
So I actually lived at a house. There were no kids between me and the course, which meant of every single kid on Earth, I lived closer to the world's first Frisbee golf course than anyone else in the world.
That's awesome.
And actually, one of my best friends, Marty, growing up, he moved in a couple years later. He moved in at the house on the opposite side of me. So he was like 40 feet further away from the course than me. So he would have been the kid that was closest in the world if they had bought the house on the other side. But no, I mean, that was it. I mean, and every single day from that point forward, that's all I did, at least through my youth. I woke up, I went to school, got out of school, played Frisbee golf until I got old enough to realize I could just ditch school and go play Frisbee all day, which is what I did. No, I had discs in my locker. My mom would drop me off at school. I'd go to school. I'd put my books in my locker, get my Frisbees out, go down to the park, play all day, come back at 3 o'clock, swap out my books for Frisbees. Mom would take me home. After school, I would eat, and then I would walk back with my other set of Frisbees to the park and play till dark. And I did that basically every day from like age 13 on.
Wow.
And every day, but close enough. I was at the park more than I was in school when I was younger. And then I eventually dropped out of school when I was 15 and to play Frisbee full time, just like I recommend every other kid do.
Right on. Right on.
No. Look, I don't know how many parents have come up to me and they're like, hey, I got my kid, they're at a clinic or something with their kid. They're like, my kid loves the sport. He or she is really, I see a lot of talent there. What's the best thing I could do to help support their game? And I always say to them, do you really want me to answer in front of your kid?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, you can answer in front of him. And I'm like, tell him to drop out of school and play Frisbee every day. Why are you asking me for parenting advice?
Start the homeschooling train or move on from it?
No, you don't get to be like one of the best in the world at something while having a healthy, balanced life. Mm-hmm. Those do not coexist. So it's not that I think that it's better or worse to obsess over one thing, but if you want to become great at something, you can't, you're not going to do it part-time and become great at it. Like sure. That never happened. So it's like, what level do you want to get to? You want to become the best in the world, or is that your goal? Then that should be your focus. Everything else in life needs to be secondary.
Right, absolutely.
Whatever what that thing is, it could be law school, it could be painting, it could be anything. But
sure,
you got to dedicate yourself to your craft if you want to excel. So
absolutely.
I'm only half joking with that drop out of school thing.
And I mean, hey, in the day and age we're in, I mean, internet school is 100% a thing, and mobile school. So, I mean, today it's even a lot more accessible than it was back in the 70s. They didn't have that, and you just had to make that decision. So, I mean, hey, it kind of rolls into the next question. Honestly, what part of your game or your life do you think led to where you are today as Mr. Forehand Hall of Fame disc golfer Scott Stokely?
I mean, I was obsessed with playing. I was obsessed with becoming the best in the world. I never got to be. I was never the best disc golfer in the world. Clearly, Ken Climo was the best, certainly of my era. And then you could debate the all-time list, but certainly of my era, there was he didn't. Like people say, they're like, well, you were like one of Ken's biggest rivals. And I'm like, Ken didn't have rivals in the 90s. To say I was his rival would be unfair to Ken because Ken didn't have a rival. Ken was so much better.
Yeah.
At that time. That's just the reality. I mean, I wish if it wasn't the case, I would happily tell you that's not the way it was, but it was. But there was a period in the second half of the 90s where I was the clear number 2. Yeah, I finished second place at the World Championships a couple times. I would have years where I'd play 18 tournaments and 9 of them that Ken wasn't there, and I would win 7 or 8 or whatever of the 9 that he wasn't at.
Sure.
So I was number 2, which is, didn't make me feel good at the time, but in hindsight, I'm very proud of it, of course, But at the time, it was painful. It's like making it to the finals. I was the Buffalo Bills. I love Buffalo.
Sure.
They're gonna win it all this year. But I kind of got to be the Buffalo Bills of my generation.
Sure.
The Carl Boones, the Charles Barkleys, whatever. That's okay. I'm not ashamed.
Right.
But I was the top distance thrower of the definitely of the time, maybe of all time, top sidearm thrower, blah blah blah. So I got to be the best at some things, just not everything.
Sure, and like you said, I mean, you have all those accolades on the side, man, where it's just like, I tell people all the time that you're the first person that I ever saw as a personality, and I have a terrible forehand, and they make fun of me all the time. They were like, how could you? And I blame it on my football past. I was a quarterback. My last name's Bradshaw, so I grew up. I was a quarterback, and I have that flick, and I throw the spot. And every time I throw a forehand, I just want to roll that hand. So I'm gonna have to jump into some of your videos.
You taking my online class?
I have not. That's what I need to do. I just got plugged into the Discord, and
my 6-month online class. There's a 100% chance you leave with a sidearm because. Like with a good sidearm, like you're an athlete who knows how to make your arm move fast. It's just a matter of what you do differently between football, baseball, whatever, even ultimate, what you do differently between that and disc golf. But when you have the ability to throw, you have all the components in place. The online class, it's scottstokely.net. Search for the 6-month online class. It's not just a bunch of videos and drills. You can go get that off YouTube with, some levels of success, but it can be hit or miss. The thing about the online class is that there's a step-by-step process I've developed. I've done more teaching than anyone ever in the sport, or along with maybe there's a couple, Jay and Des Redding have taught a lot, but I've taught a lot. The thing you're going to get is I have a step-by-step process. Right? I don't show the end result. The end result of what a throw is supposed to look like would be like if you went to swing dance classes and someone showed you a couple doing a professional swing dance in slow motion and said, copy that. You're out of your mind. Like, is that going to work? Well, yeah, you show it to 100 people. There's 3 or 4 people who are like, oh, I can do that. And next thing you know, they're swing dancing, right? But the other 97 people are like, no, that doesn't work. That's not how we learn. So I developed a step-by-step process where if you follow the process, you learn how to throw correctly, backhand, sidearm, putting, everything. But the biggest thing is that in my online classes, you get a unlimited number of professional form reviews. So you will be constantly throughout the process. Your part of the process is to shoot video clips of you doing throws, uploading them, and being coached. I have 3 coaches who have been with me for years. They are the best in the business at teaching disc golf. They will evaluate what you're doing at this part of the process you're learning, and they will change what you're doing so you throw correctly. It's 100% works. Nobody walks away going, I don't get this.
Right.
So just sign up for the class, and you'll have a sidearm. You'll have a great sidearm.
Absolutely.
Now I'll add more things. That this is why the professional teaching matters. Is that you played football. There's a high probability with that you have old injuries and you have old, like, your body's beaten up. That's just the reality of playing, like, contact sports.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lack of mobility in your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, like something like that, there are a lot of things we can do to work around that. Like it's nothing I haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that, because it doesn't matter if it's from a skateboard injury, football, or just getting older. If your shoulder only rotates to a certain spot and that prevents you from doing something, from my perspective, that doesn't change a thing as far as how I teach you. I go, oh, your shoulder moves to here. Well, then here's how we're going to work around that. And I've seen it all. You'll just take the class. I guarantee you're going to love it. But you'll have a sidearm, and then when your friends make fun of you, well, they won't.
Yeah.
Then you tell them class, and then they can sign up for the class.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
It's my life's work. It's like I put more time into teaching and studying the game and studying physiology and biomechanics, and like I know how this thing works.
Down to the science of it.
The Stokely disc golf method, the one I market, is not a different method of throwing. Yeah, I'm not telling you to throw differently than the pros on tour throw. We all agree, correct form, incorrect form. The method is the process I developed that will get you there. That doesn't happen when you just watch a YouTube video.
Sure, that's a good piece.
Just sign up and we'll do a podcast afterwards, and you could talk about how well it's working. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, man. Put you on the calendar for 2025. We'll bring her back.
I'm very confident, if you noticed.
Oh no, and I mean, honestly, that was part of what kind of drew me to you in the beginning. I'm a car salesman by trade, man. So I'm never afraid to be the loudest person, brightest person in the room, and I mean, you just kind of stuck out. I mean, you're also a giant, so like me, but I saw you at Altmart, and I was like, I got to go talk to him. And it was cool to put an actual face, and that was part of the world's experience for me. That was the first tournament I've ever been to. I started last year in August and aced my 7th hole ever, and it was on, and I got hooked instantly.
Well, yeah. So you understand this about, it's like sales, is that like, and if you follow me on social media, you never see me be arrogant about anything in this world, except I come across arrogant when I teach, but it's 100% on purpose, because I need people when I'm teaching them to not do the wrong thing. Yeah. So if I said, oh, well, I know some people teach palm up, and there's different ways of throwing when you serve the pizza, like when you throw your sidearm. And I know some people say this, but I prefer a different method. There's a chance someone continues to throw palm up. They serve the pizza, and which means they're not going to have a good sidearm, period. End of discussion. Ain't ever going to work for you. So what I do is I just confidently say, no, that's wrong. Don't do it. I promise you, you're 100% wrong if you throw with your palm up. Because I know that is more likely to make people go, oh, well, he's pretty sure of that not to do it that way.
Right.
And then I go out and this year I set the world tech disc sidearm speed record. So like at 55 years old, I've thrown tech disc sidearm faster than anyone's ever thrown a tech disc sidearm, and I'm elderly.
Yeah.
I promise you, this is the way to do it.
Yeah,
this is the correct. So but the arrogance is it's on purpose. I don't feel arrogant. I want people to listen to me because what I'm telling them is right.
You exude confidence, man. That's what it is. And I had an old football coach that always told me it ain't arrogance if you can back it up, Daniel. So it's you definitely got the rap sheet to back it up. That's for sure.
I try.
So speaking of that rap sheet, it puts you in the Disc Golf World Hall of Fame. And I have to ask, what was your favorite part of that experience, man?
This is such a strange thing to say, but it was getting it over with. Okay. So I'm starting this, I feel like I'm starting the second half of my career. I'm 55 years old. I'm not slowing down. In a month, I'll be on a plane for the Philippines on a disc golf project. I'm traveling the world. I feel like only half of my career has been done. I got so many things I want to do to promote disc golf globally. That's my big focus now. All my businesses I'm running so I can make money to do these global disc golf projects. so I got a lot of stuff in front of me, but the one thing that had been hanging over my head that I didn't have yet was the Hall of Fame. I needed that to be like, that was the last thing on the list. I didn't do everything I sought out to do. Like I sought out to set a world distance record. I did that. I set out to be a world open disc golf champion. I wasn't able to do that, but I've accepted that. That's past history. It's not going to happen. That's okay. But there was one thing that was still left pending. So in a sense, it was kind of like, oh, thank God. Now I can just, there's nothing I have to do. It's all now bonus level, or, it's
downloadable content. Absolutely.
now it's all, it's the DVD extras.
Yeah. You got the monkey off the back, and now it's just have fun.
Director's cut. And that, so I can do all this stuff now, but in a weird way, this is going to sound maybe morbid, but it's like I could die now, and there's nothing left where I'm going to be like, oh, but I never didn't whatever. Now it's like, okay, cool. But again, that doesn't mean I don't have all these projects. I'm not slowing down. This is the longest I'll sit in one spot this week.
Right. Like
I don't stop. I don't have an off switch for like the stuff I want to do, and what I want to do is bring disc golf to every developing country on earth. Right. That's my goal.
Real quick, I just kind of want to talk about some of those memorable moments. Do you have a most memorable win, whether it be on or off tour at a charity event? Just anything that speaks to you.
Yeah, I mean, when I won the Wintertime Open in 1987 was like, I don't know, it's so hard to say, but at the time, because disc golf was all I thought about. Like, this was before I was thinking about girls, probably a whole lot. Like, so it was like, it was everything. And so and it was at my home course, and it was a big tournament. There were players there from around the country. Like, the Wintertime Open was considered there's $600 first place in 1987. That was unheard of. There was like 2 or 3 teams in the world with $600 first place. That was, and I was 17 years old. I was a kid still, and I was beating all of my heroes. Like, the list of Hall of Fame members at that tournament is pretty long.
Wow.
So that was huge. And winning national pairs, there was a time when doubles was a big deal in the sport, the pairs competition. And I won national pairs 4 times with 4 different partners.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to be the best pairs player among my list of things. I wanted to be the best doubles player in the world. So I won the national. Nationals was bigger than Worlds, was because Nationals was a 4-round doubles tournament that was just doubles. I won that 4 different times on purpose with 4 different partners because I wanted to show I could win with anybody.
Sure, the ultimate partner.
I won World doubles a few times also, and never with the same partner twice.
Right on.
It's important that I wanted to be the guy that was winning. As strange as that sounds, and considered it was a team event.
No.
But at the time, that's what was important to me.
Sure. Understandable.
Won mixed doubles a few times, but those were really big. Obviously, the skins match was the most recent memorable victory.
Yeah. Even
it's more of a side game, but there's a lot of reasons why that was super important to me.
Dude, I'm telling you what, man, watching, because so skins has been a big part of my disc golf as well. It's where I found the pros, and I started watching and whatever, and it was on YouTube, and I just found it, and I watched yours, and just seeing the true raw emotion of what you were trying to do out there was awesome, man. And I actually got to have my own skins experience this year. I went to Failure Lake when they came up this year, and around hole 6, the guys that were holding the rope just quit. So me and a couple of my buddies that went up ended up being crowd control, and it was a ton of fun. So yeah, skins is awesome, and I can only agree and say that I can feel the true emotion that you had when you were at that skins match, and it was cool to watch, man.
It's a documentary out called Not Just a Shot, and it's hitting the film festival. It's been winning awards literally all over the world at film festivals. It's a documentary about that shot.
Okay.
Everything that led up to the shot, because it's called Not Just a Shot because it's just a skins match, but it was more than that to me. The two reasons why that was emotional. The first was because, I was trying to come back to the sport over the age of 50 after a 13-year absence, and just kind of like, can I compete with these guys? Well, turns out no. I'm not good enough. I'm older. Like, that's just a reality. But could I compete with them for a day? It's like, yeah, I'm good enough to compete with them for a day. Is a day good enough to win a 4-day world championships? No. The work doesn't happen in one day. But it was good enough for a day, right? And that was. But the other thing was that there is a big part of my career has been throwing big, spectacular shots that nobody in the world could do at that time. Like in the 90s, I threw my backhands 100 feet farther than anyone else on tour. I threw my sidearms 150 feet or 200 feet farther than anyone else on tour. Like, I know, I mean, it was people weren't really throwing sidearms. So I was doing shots that nobody in the world could do. And I have all these memorable shots, but it was pre-internet, pre-cell phones. And so when I retired from the sport and I was gone for 13 years, one of the things I was aware of was that nobody was going to remember what I could do. I mean, people would remember, but then those people get old and die. I assume I'm going to also. I haven't planned for it, but I assume I'm going to be one of those people. Because there was no media, like, it was like maybe my name is written down, but nobody's going to get to see what I could do. And that was always something that just crushed me. When I came back, I threw spectacular shots, but so does everybody on tour. They're all great. And so when I got to do something that, look, a lot of people would call that the greatest sidearm throw in the sport, right? It was like, to me, it's like, oh my God, someone recorded what I do. I had this one where I kind of channeled like young Scott Stokely and did something spectacular, and it was like, oh my God, that now it's part of history. So now when, if people in 100 years look back and they're like, oh, the early days of the sport, what do we know about it? Well, there's this one autobiography from Scott Stokely, we've heard of him, but is that Hannes Wagner? Is it Tris Speaker? Names that everybody's heard of, but tell me what Tris Speaker looks like swinging a bat. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
Hannes Wagner, a hell of a shortstop. Well, have you ever seen him play shortstop? No. You've heard the names, and I was always going to be that. And now there's a video to go with it, no, look at what he used to do. Like that to me is it's very special, and it matters to me so much that there's just one thing that you can put in that compilation film of the olden days someday where I'm like, I get to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very emotional for me. It wasn't because of the money or because of winning something. Like, come on, I've won money, and it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with this personal thing,
You were just out there competing.
Yeah, and now it's been recorded. Now there's a documentary that has been picked up by Amazon Prime.
Right on. That's awesome.
It's cool. It's really neat.
Well, talking about that shot is, it didn't even have to be. Is that the shot, or is the ace at Waco your most significant shot? I mean, what do you feel like if there's one shot that, even if you wish it would have been on film, that you had that meant the most to you?
I mean, as far as what it meant the most was probably that one, only because I did those all the time back in the old days.
Yeah.
And, that's not like bragging when I say I do them all the time. It's just that I threw far. It's like Simon. Like, Simon, tell me about your greatest shots on the golf course. Well, Simon's going to be like, oh my God, how many par fours have I eagled? Like, they're all incredible, spectacular shots. So that's not going to be as memorable. Like, so it's probably that one. It really is.
Okay, right on.
As far as how much it meant to me, no other shot meant more than that.
Sure.
Because, I literally was out there thinking, are people going to say, why did they invite him? Because it's Calvin Heimberg and Simon Lizotte and Brody are out there, right? And then me in the biggest skins match in the history of disc golf. Well, why did they invite the 50-year-old? Like, I was worried I thought I might embarrass myself. Like, what if I just had an off day?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if, look, everybody misses 22-foot putts every once in a while. Well, what if I missed a 22-foot putt to push the skins with 6 skins on the line and then hand it to somebody? That could happen to anybody, but what if it happened to me?
Yeah.
That moment on the spotlight, how embarrassing, right? So I was scared to death. I was so scared. I was gonna be embarrassed. People are going to be like, "That's why they should have called Paul."
Well, I disagree. I enjoyed it, man, and I always it's cool to see Calvin on there, but to have to have the legends like you and Feldberg and those guys come out and still see, hey, I got it, man. I'm gonna go out here and play with these young boys, and I'm gonna win me some money. So
for a day.
Oh, man. Well,
yeah, no, even this year at the World Championships, I got second at the World Putting Championships, which I was proud of. And I was first place in the B pool after round 1. Now I know it's the B pool, so if you're a member of the sport who was at the World Championships, you're like, I know you won the B pool, but it was a 1043 rated round. Okay, that was 20th place in the A pool. Okay, I know this. I'm not stupid. But to the people that are watching, it's like he was first place for a day.
Yeah.
You know, like that was neat. You know, I humbly say this. I know exactly where it would have stacked up against. Like, I was nowhere near Isaac or anything like that, but it was still like for me at this point in my career, it's about moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to put together 3 solid days and win a pro tour event, but it's like, boy, those odds are pretty long.
Well, and
so
you never know.
Yeah, oh no, you never know. But at the moment, right now, I'm happy with moments.
Like you said, creating those core memories and just locking those in, and I guess to kind of segue into the next question, do you have any big plans for Stokely and Ching in 2025?
Well, as far as the discs, yes, 100%. So Stokely discs are the discs that I produce under my brand. The Stokely, by the way, you go to stokelydiscs.com to read all about them. Stokely discs, they're all original molds. We run them on our machines in our facility. They're not third-party manufactured. We manufacture these ourselves. I have help from someone in the industry in disc design and the molding process, because that's art, not science. That's a whole skill set you have to learn. So we have help, but like every disc is run on a machine that we own, so they're ours on our molds. And then we bought Ching Discs, which is a company that was around for 2000 till 2014. They had 8 original molds. They're very unique molds, but why great? But there's unique things about them. Go look up Ching Discs. We'll go to Stokely Discs. You can see pictures of Ching Discs, but just Google Ching Discs and you'll see they're great discs, but they're all extremely unique, which is why we buy the company. So we own all 8 of those molds as well. So the big things we're doing for next year, we are going to be putting out a new Stokely disc and re-releasing a Ching disc approximately every 3 to 4 months. It's based on the market. Like, you can't release them too fast because you cannibalize your own market. Like, you just can't ask people to buy your stuff every month or every 2 weeks. Fortunately, I wish I could.
You can't saturate yourself, yeah.
No, you need time to build hype around an individual model, which is what we're doing. It's we're just following the traditional path. We've seen people try different ways and it hasn't worked. So we're going to follow the path. The biggest thing I'm doing, and this is where if we can get the word out on this, by far the biggest thing I'm doing is I am promoting something called Shop Local First, which is, it's a movement to push the idea within the culture of our sport that you need to support your local vendors. Pro shops, pop-up courses, private courses, and I'm not even discounting online vendors. There's online vendors in your town that are sponsoring events and also promoting the sport locally as well. So I'm not even ruling out online vendors. What I'm saying is support the entrepreneurs in the sport. By the way, I even said, like, why would you buy directly from a manufacturer? I'm not even talking about the small manufacturers. The small manufacturers out there are trying to keep the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to buy from a small manufacturer, I even support doing that because they're the little guys who are trying to keep in business so they can grow the sport. It's just that we don't. Yeah, like you've got a perfect example. You want to support Doomsday? Go order from Doomsday. I got no problem with that. It's just you need to support small businesses
Mm-hmm.
because the small businesses are the ones who are growing the sport in your community. And so I'm promoting this idea of shop local first. So with Stokely discs and Ching discs, for example, if you are a store and you carry Stokely discs and somebody in your town, let's say they want to buy a first run Stokely disc.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they go to my website, I don't sell them. If you live in a town that carries Stokely discs and you want a first run Stokely disc, you need to walk into that pro shop and buy it. Like, I am not competing with the pro shop whose discs, I manufacture the disc. They're selling my discs. Like, I'm not going to now compete with you. I don't understand that. It's not good for our sport. And so, again, it's America. It's a free market. I love free market. I love capitalism. No one's doing anything unethical. You're running a business trying to make as much money as possible. That's the job of your business. Just because I don't find that unethical doesn't mean that cultural decision is good for our sport. What's good for our sport is supporting the local entrepreneurs that are putting in courses, running leagues, going to schools, teaching, giving lessons at their pro shop, making sure new players walk out with discs so they have a good experience, so they come back the next day. Like, look, these people need to stay in business.
Mm-hmm.
If these stores go out of business, it harms our sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good. So my whole company is centered around the idea of supporting the local pro shop.
Yeah.
Like the local, not even I use the term pro shop generically for local entrepreneur, but it's about supporting the local business that sells my disc. I'm the manufacturer.
Sure.
I'm not the. Now I do sell. By the way, don't get me wrong. I do sell prototypes of my discs because we crowdsource flight numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I will do something. Eventually, I'll have like a street team or something out there, and I'll give them a way of buying from me. Like, I'm not. Like, there's things that we need to do to operate as a business.
Sure.
But the overarching philosophy, the majority of the things we do are going to be geared towards buy at your local stores.
Yeah. And it's actually cool. I bought my first Stokely Rin, which go get you one. Mine is a first run Strato, and I did buy it.
For a fact, you didn't buy it from my store.
I did not. I bought it at Central PA Disc Golf, which is a store that Mr. Scott Stokely stocks at, and actually did a giveaway with for another Rin. But they offer his full lineup, and I'll plug myself a little bit here. Doing a giveaway if you go to one of the shorts that's over here, and you can enter to win a $50 gift card to Central PA Disc Golf and buy Scott's full lineup if you would like. So
there you go. Yep. Shop local, everybody. Support your local vendor. We need them. We need them to stay in business.
Absolutely. What's 2025 look like for Scott Stokely?
Well, I'm heading to the Philippines in December. I'll be over there over Southeast Asia for a little bit. I'm working on a couple big disc golf projects, which we'll be announcing soon. One of them we'll be announcing soon. One of them may take a while because we're having to work with some local governments and it's a massive project that if we get government support, we're going to change we're going to change everything globally.
That's awesome.
So I'll be over there, and then I'll be back in the U.S. I'll be running seminars, going to pro shops, making appearances, playing tournaments, traveling around the country, doing my thing. I assume I'm going to go back to Europe but only for like a month because it's the middle of the season, and I really need to be here for my company during the high season.
Sure.
But we're also working on distribution for Europe, so I need to make sure people in Europe want my discs also.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in Southeast Asia again next winter. At some point, I may be in Hungary shooting a movie, believe it or not.
Wow.
I know, I got asked. My life is so weird. I wouldn't even like say this stuff because it sounds so like weird and unbelievable. Except it's like you'll see it'll be in social media like soon enough, right? With all this weird stuff I do. But when my documentary, Not Just a Shot's been hitting the film festival circuit, and a Hungarian filmmaker was at a film festival, saw me in the documentary, and then basically said, "I have a project. You're perfect. It's about an American who comes to Hungary." There's more to it than that, but that's the. I don't have to speak Hungarian. Basically,
Sure.
I just am a kid in Hungary who doesn't speak the language, but that's the lead role in the movie that he's already decided it, so he's cast me as the lead in the movie.
That's amazing. That's amazing,
Yeah.
dude.
Hey, by the way, before you think I'm getting all hoity-toity with this, you want to know what it pays?
What you got?
Expenses.
You get to go. Well, hey, I'm sure there's some disc golf courses in Hungary.
But I'm not pretending this is like Hollywood either. Like this is going to be, it's a Hungarian film, but like a lot of places, like Hungary's crushing. Like I have just like I'm not going to be like political, but I think Hollywood's just about done. I think they're at their death throes right now, and what you're going to see is you're going to see film industries emerging all over the world who are making money off the American market because people in America are going to be like, oh yeah, those films they make over there are better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to start seeing more and more Bollywood films over here. You're already starting to see Korean films over here. Well, I think the trend's going to continue.
Well, and not
So,
even just in film, but anime has made a huge resurgence in the last 10 years as well.
yes. Are you an anime guy?
A little bit. So I dip and dabble. I'm 30. I was born in 94. Pokemon was released in 1996. So if you want to talk about some things, I can talk about disc golf or I can talk about Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, Avatar was cool when we were kids. You know, Nickelodeon did their first real spin on anime, and that was cool to see. So it's been a part of my life. I'm not a Crunchyroll guy, but there are a few that I've wanted to jump into.
Yeah. Well, there's some good. Last thing, well, this isn't even anime, and I hate to say this because it makes it sound like really uncool to say, but the live action of One Piece,
Oh yeah.
unbelievable. But this is like one of those like live action adaptations where like the anime people are like,
Mm-hmm.
we're okay with this one.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny you say that because a lot of the Pokemon YouTubers I watch, they do watch a lot of anime, and they said the same thing when it came out. They were like, guys, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect.
No, you know why? Because it was overseen by what's his name? Hero. Oh God, I want to get the name wrong. But basically, he retained creative control. So he sold the rights to One Piece, but then if he didn't like something, it didn't go in. He reserved the right to say. So in other words, it's overseen by the guy that wrote it, which means it is his vision.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's unbelievable. It's so good. It's so just go watch it. Watch 5 minutes of episode 1. You'll be like, oh my God, this is something special.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
That's my tip for you. Watch One Piece, and then to thank me, go through Stokely discs.
There you go.
Watch the animated version of One Piece, and I like the live action better. Sorry.
Okay. Hey. Maybe a hot take, but hey, who knows?
Messenger. I like, we went over to it was in Osaka. Yeah, we went to Ghibli Studios. So we got a tour.
That's awesome.
We got, yeah. So, I'm not a true fan, but a little bit. I recognized the characters. I recognized all the movies and stuff. So,
well, we got a tip for life. What moving into some tips here? What would you say is kind of the best beginner disc in either the Stokely or the Ching lineup?
So the best for beginners, the Juju. The Juju is absolutely like Twin Ching is a perfectly straight flying, super easy to control disc. It would definitely be the Ren for right now with Stokely discs because the other two are overstable. I wouldn't call either of them truly beginner friendly. Cardinal a little more. Owl absolutely not. By the way, this is one of the things I'm doing with my discs. I'm actually telling people what they're good for and what they're not good for.
Right.
I'm actually like I'm trying to build credibility with my market, with my audience. And so I'm honest with people. Like, so I'm telling people, like, if this is what, if you like, don't like I made a video about the Ren where I said, don't throw it into a headwind. And that ain't but our first fairway driver, the Lark, is coming out in just a couple weeks. And the Lark is absolutely positively like such a user-friendly, great flying fairway driver, super easy to control. I mean, I'm so excited because it's an absolute 100% win. Everybody that throws it is going to bag it and love it. And again, I say this right after saying, don't throw the owl if you're a beginner. So like, I'm trying to have credibility by actually being honest. So when I say, oh my God, you guys, this disc is a win, you can believe me because I'm being straight with y'all. So good.
Yeah, I saw you post about that a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh man, number 4, here we go, get another one.
So good. Wait, it's like we crowdsource flight numbers, but it might be like a -1 turn and a +1 fade or something.
Okay.
I mean, it's so true flying. And by the way, I'm just guessing on the numbers. We'll see, but it's good. You saw the video.
Oh yeah.
It barely faded at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was a rope. Yeah.
It flew all. It's like a mid-range. It flew so straight.
It just kind of laid down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I didn't design it. I'm not taking any credit for it. When I say it's great, it's because the person who designed it designed a great disc for us.
Did a great job for you. Absolutely. You got to have people on your team, man.
They know what they're doing. Thank God.
Absolutely. Well, since you know what you're doing, what would you say if I was a day one disc golfer and you walked up to me and handed me my first disc? What would the first tip you give me be?
Oh God, the first tip. I mean, when you're new, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's just, I don't mean this to sound arrogant. I would say watch my videos.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like there's bad information out there. There's information that's correct, but it's not taught well just because of inexperience. Where it's like, yeah, you're kind of right, but the way you're explaining it, I've tried that approach. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about when I teach, and this is why my videos are so effective, is that I've taught, like, God, between my clinics and my seminars and private lessons, probably 30,000 people one-on-one. I mean, literally, I go. And so what I've learned is when I say these words, the person does it correctly. When I say those words, the person doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Then how do I, or when I tell them to do this, they can't do that. But what if I have them do this first and they do that, and then I have them add this? Do they get there? So everything I teach is based on the feedback of everything I say. Does it work or does it not work, right? It's just a learning process. And if you're making a video, and again, I'm not knocking the people making the videos. I, at one time, was inexperienced, just like everybody who's experienced was inexperienced at some time. But if you're making a video and you haven't said those words standing in front of 500 or 1,000 people, where you said the same words that you just put in your video and watch to see when I give those words, what is the result? You don't know if that's going to translate. So what happens on a lot of these videos is that they're made by very smart people. They're made by very motivated people to try to teach disc golf, right? Hats off to them. We need teachers. Teaching's good. But they don't have the feedback to know that way of showing people to do things doesn't end with them throwing correctly. It ends with them paying me money in one of my classes because the things they were trying to do didn't work. And I teach them how to throw. They end up throwing the same way that first person was trying to show them how to throw, but I just took them a different path.
Yeah.
So the reason my videos are effective is I don't say anything in a video that I haven't said to thousands of people, or at least 1,000 people.
Right.
Like right in front of them, and when I show them to do this, I watch it work.
Tried and true and tested. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why. So again, I'm not claiming to be smarter. I'm not claiming to be anything like that. That's not where the arrogance comes from. It's the confidence of I've tried stuff and watched it not work.
Right.
A lot. I've had to learn. Everybody, look, if you haven't taught private lessons, you don't know how to teach. Period. because you don't have any feedback as to what your approach will do. You just don't.
Yeah.
And just what I would tell all of them is just go out and start doing private lessons, and then start modifying your videos based on those private lessons. And next thing you know, you're going to be a better teacher. More people are going to throw your process or your method of teaching, and then you're going to grow your channel, and then more people will pay you to learn how to, you know what I mean? Like but you got it. That step of the one-on-one private lessons is absolutely crucial. Without that, you just don't know what works and what doesn't work. So
Sure.
you don't have feedback. That's all.
Right on.
Again, am I clear that I'm not knocking anybody else by any stretch?
Absolutely.
Here, I'll even go ahead and throw the opposite of arrogant bone, just to make sure you all know that I'm not being overly arrogant. I wrote the first book on how to disc golf in 2000. The first book on professional disc golf throwing technique. At the time I wrote that book, okay, we didn't have cell phones. We had no slow motion video. There was no video out there of somebody throwing in slow motion. None. Right? So we're literally having to guess what people are doing in real time. You couldn't even videotape them and then pause the video, because if you pause the video, it's like it's all shaking stuff.
Yeah.
At any given spot. So in 2000, when I wrote the first book on how to disc golf, I'm very proud of it. Like, I think, in my opinion, it was the accumulation or culmination of whatever of all the knowledge of disc golf throwing technique put into this one book. It was the pinnacle of how to play disc golf. And I'm very proud of that book. The reason that book is not in print today is because when I look at that book, there are so many things I got wrong. I didn't even edit the book and re-release it. It would require an entire rewrite, and then it's like I would need to start from scratch.
Yeah.
As good as that book was, I got like so many things wrong. I'm reading it going, yeah, that's not how that works. Or I was right, but explaining it that way, no one's going to be able to do it when I use those words. So it's like I had to learn how to teach primarily from private lessons.
Wow.
So that's where, right, a lot of the YouTube videos out there, they're just where I was. They got their knowledge, they put information out there, but they haven't got that next step of seeing what works. So again, long answer, but watch my videos. If you're new to disc golf, watch my videos. There's nothing in there that's going to steer you wrong. You're going to throw right.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Well, in terms, I guess we can kind of wrap that answer into this question. But what would be your best tip for somebody who's MA2 and really looking to make that push over the next year and maybe start playing MPO?
Watch my videos.
Yep.
Change. Okay, let me explain. So there is a misconception about how I teach disc golf. Not a big one. I got enough supporters out there. There's not a lot of people too overly critical about it. But there are people that have suggested that I teach more of a basic technique, not the pro stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've heard that before, which is like as absurd of an idea. Like, you have no idea. Here's why I teach what I do. You ever play basketball? You played football. You ever play basketball? Mm-hmm. Okay, when you're 10 years old, your basketball coach says, here's how you shoot free throws. Here's how you stand. You put your elbow at 90 degrees. This hand's guiding the ball. You flip your hand forward. You give it a little spin with the wrist, and you hold your hand in place to confirm, right? That's how they teach you when you're 10. Okay, when you get to high school, they don't go, oh, yeah, you're in high school now, kid. Let me show you how we shoot free throws in high school. Mm-hmm. And then they show you the advanced techniques. And then when you get to college, they're like, oh, look, you're not in high school anymore, son. This is NCAA basketball. Let me show you the college level techniques. And then when you get to the pros, they're like, dude, you're not in college anymore, kid. Let me show you the pro free throw shooting. No, absolutely not. When you are in the pros, your coach, your free throw shooting coach in the NBA is showing you the exact same thing. Exactly they showed you when you were 10.
Yep.
Nothing changed, because it's just biomechanics. It's how the body moves. You got taller, That doesn't change the fact that this hand just guides the ball. When you got stronger, doesn't change the fact that if you hold your hand up, you can confirm that you got this part of the shot right. Nothing changed. So is the NBA free throw coach teaching the basics, like as opposed to the pro techniques? Of course not. They're teaching what the pros do. What the pros do is they do that 10-year-old technique millions of times. Mm-hmm. And the only thing a coach will do is when you start to deviate from the fundamental mechanics of how to throw correctly, they put you back on track. That's all they. And then they yell at you if you don't practice enough. That's it. All right. So what I teach, the way I teach is exactly what a beginner should do when they play. Nothing changes. The mechanics of the throw don't change between a beginner and a pro. They don't change. You say, well, what about the nuances? You mean like aiming? Yeah, I teach you how to aim. One hinge on the body, the hips. I teach you how to slow the disc down. There's one mechanical change to do that. I teach you how to change the line. No mechanical change. Put the original throw on the new line. I teach you how to throw higher. You change one part of your body and the rest of the body automatically falls into place. That's what the pros do. They don't do anything more than that. So again, really long answer, but the fact is that when you're brand new to disc golf, watch my videos. When you want to go from MA2 to pro, do the exact same thing and practice more.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. And the subtleties of the game itself, that changes as you learn the game, the nuances of the game we're playing, shot selection and this and that, but fundamentally there's no additional fundamentals. So you want to put the nose up on a disc? Well, I teach you how to keep the nose flat by not swiveling the forearm. That's what puts the nose up. So how do you put the nose up on purpose? You throw in correctly on purpose by swiveling your forearm. Nothing I teach doesn't translate at the MA2 to pro. Nothing.
It's just a matter of those fundamentals, like you said, man.
Get the fundamentals right. It's about the fundamentals. Golf.
The base.
I'm going to show you how to do a correct golf swing. Oh, good, your swing's correct. Well, how do I get better? Hit golf balls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, swing's off if you're doing things wrong with your swing coach will fix your swing. But once they get your swing right, you hit balls. Yep. How do you hit shorter? Well, you change your club or you change this part of the mechanics to hit softer. Well, how do you know when to hit softer? Well, you've learned how far you hit when this club is done at this effort. And then you modify that for so what the pros do is they're better at modifying these things, but they haven't changed their mechanics. There's no PGA pros don't have a different mechanics than the pro at the country club is teaching the 60-year-old who took up golf last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're not taught anything different.
Wow.
So it's all the same game.
Good point, man. Good point. Got to start somewhere. Got to have a base. If you ain't got a base, you ain't got nowhere to go. So that's a good point, man. Scott, I really just want to thank you, man. I never imagined that I'd be sitting here doing a podcast, and I certainly never imagined that I'd have a Hall of Famer as my first guest. So,
sign up for my online class.
Yeah,
you'll get more out of that class. I also certify teachers in the class, so if you ever want to teach, we can certify you as a Stokely method teacher. That's part of the process. Be part of this.
Well, again, Scott, we just want to thank you, man, and we hope we get to get in that class, get some application, get a little bit of forehand going, man. But go have some fun, enjoy your trip, go get across the water and play some disc golf, sling some discs, and bang some chains, man. So appreciate you being here, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on the Disctopian podcast. Thanks for watching.